Security. How do you maintain security for yourselves in the state of Alaska?
Yeah, and it's not just in the state of Alaska. We've been asked several times, how do you feel secure in a van while you're traveling? Let me tell you this. I have never once ever felt insecure or afraid of my environment.
Keep in mind, we are also strictly boondocking. We do not pay for campgrounds. We do not pay for camping. We find places where we're out in the wild.
If we can. Right?
Or, in this case, friends that let us stay on their land.
Right.
So we don't pay for the places we go to. We have only hooked up twice.
Right.
Once we hooked up, it was at the campground with the company we purchased from. The second time we hooked up was in Jasper. And in Jasper, of course, is a national park in Canada, and you don't have an option. You have to pay for camping.
There may be times where you have to pay for camping, and that's okay. You know, but you know, I have learned throughout this experience that anytime we can boondock, which means just like this, just enjoying the land and going off grid, we're gonna do it. I prefer to do that over RV parks or campgrounds. But there may be times where we have to, but let's talk about security when we're out here. What do we have to worry about? We might have to worry about bears. We really don't have to worry about other people. And in Alaska, not to give you a false sense of security, but crime against tourists is extremely low. So when you're in Alaska...
Now, crime against tourists is extremely low outside the city.
Yes, if you're in, that's where I was leading. If you're in Alaska and you're in the city, you know, yeah, you may have to deal with the stuff that all other cities have to deal with, like things being broken into, things being stolen, being pickpocketed. Without getting political, most people know that in Alaska, most people are armed. We don't have to have a carry and conceal license in order to have a gun on us. It's not one of our laws here in Alaska. You can have a gun and not have to be licensed. I have a strong opinion about the licensing thing, but that is a psychology behind people who come up here and consider crime. Crime is very stealthy here. The only criminal types of acts that we have been subject to is in our driveway. People have looked into our cars because we have cameras, or people have, I've had a car broken into randomly. But personally, I have never heard of people going into campgrounds and stealing people's stuff. So, do we need a gun? Do we need bear spray? Let's talk about that.
Bear spray is incredibly important. We believe in layers of security, of course.
Layers.
We always have our handy little dog here, who's very alert. So,
well, let's talk about the first layer.
Well, first, awareness.
The first layer of security is being aware of your environment, okay? Just open your eyes and see what's around you. Think about the people that are around you, and never be complacent or be off guard, okay? The second layer of security is, let's say, having lights on, or we sometimes have put our lights on outside of the Revel, but at home, okay, we put our lights on at home. That's a second layer of security, or security cameras, etc. That may be a third. The fourth layer may be your animal, and we always, of course, have Ember. We also have Hunter, who is our other dog, which is a golden retriever. She's getting a little old, so she doesn't come with us very often. And the fifth and sixth layer is very controversial. So when you're out in the wilderness, you may purchase bear spray. But I want to talk about it for a minute, because when you purchase it, if you don't know how to use it, I want you to consider going online, watching a course or something on how to use bear spray and when to use it and when not to use it. Because we have two different types of bears in Alaska. We have the black bear and we have the grizzly bear. And both bears respond differently. So when you have a black bear, they're the smaller bears. Let's just make this super simple. With black bears, they're a smaller bear, so they're afraid of you. You want to make yourself bigger, you want to make yourself be loud, make a lot of noise, no matter which type of bear, no matter where you are, make noise, okay? With grizzly bears, they're way bigger than you. You can't outrun them, you want to make yourself smaller. So you would have to probably curl yourself into a ball, duck your head. Okay. Is that going to happen? Let me just say this. I have been in Alaska for 25 years. I practically live outside like this. Today was my first close encounter with a grizzly bear, and that was probably the closest I have ever been to a grizzly. I'm not going to say that this isn't going to happen. It could possibly happen. It's like training for something that could never possibly happen in your lives. Just be bear aware. Do your research. Okay, so now that he's back and we're done talking about bears, do your research, know what's out there before you come. If you don't already know, if you already know, you know exactly what we're talking about. Let's talk about personal firearms.
The other item that we have with us all the time is also a firearm.
We are always armed. However, does that mean that you need to be always armed? No.
No, we do a lot of trips. Anytime we go into Canada, we do not travel armed. The only reason we travel armed in Alaska is because we have the ability to.
Yeah. It's that layer of security, right?
Yeah.
It's just that like extra layer of, okay, I feel a little bit more secure having a firearm. And again, this is extremely controversial. If you do not know how to use your firearm, don't buy one. Okay? If you want to go and get trained, if you want to get your concealed carry license, kudos to you. But a lot of, the majority of Alaskans, we carry firearms. And it's not because we ever feel like we have to use them or we're afraid of other people or we're paranoid. We have it because in the event that we need to use it, we know when to use it.
And how.
Jim and I both have previous experience with firearms. We practice and we make sure that our firearm works consistently and that we know how to hit our target, because that's the most important thing. But seriously, you guys, don't go out and buy a gun because you've come to Alaska and you're afraid of bears. The chances of you actually seeing a bear and having to worry about an encounter are very low. Let's talk about people.
Never pull a gun on a person unless your intention is to use it.
Right, that's kind of common sense. You know, if you wouldn't have to personally protect yourself in Alaska as a tourist unless you feel that that person is threatening you or you are in imminent danger.
If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. And if you want to join us on future adventures, subscribe.